What's going on, everyone? We're into week 11. We've got Thursday night football on the horizon, and as always, I've got my weekly NFL picks outright and against the spread, also along with my locks of the week. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Kicking off Thursday night football, we've got the Tennessee Titans at the Pittsburgh Steelers. An important game for both these teams atop their divisions, want to get some momentum heading into the playoffs. So, to me, it's going to be an interesting game. Thursday night football is usually not that competitive, but as far as importance, this is a pretty important Thursday night contest. It's going to have a lot of implications moving forward. As far as advantages, I got to give the advantage offensively to the Steelers. They've got way too many weapons with Le'Veon, Antonio Brown, now Juju, and of course Big Ben. And I know their offense has been inconsistent, but this is a home game, so I think they'll be able to come out and put together a nice showing. And with the Titans, they've been inconsistent as well on offense. And to me, I think if this becomes a shootout, they just won't have enough to keep up in terms of offensive firepower with the Steelers. I think this defenses can be somewhat of a wash. And I do think that Pittsburgh defense is underrated. So give the edge to the Steelers. I like them to win outright. The spread is -7.5. I think there's going to be a lot of points here on the side of the Steelers. I look for Antonio Brown, Big Ben, and Bell to have a big game, especially AB, who's been quiet these last couple weeks. Look for him to break out back onto the scene. And I like the Steelers to win right around by 10 points, so I think they cover the spread. Next, we've got an NFC North divisional clash, Lions at the Chicago Bears. And look, this contest pretty cut and dry to me. Lions are trending up, Bears pretty much done for the season. Lions at 5-4, Bears in 3-5. And even though the Lions are on the road and they're going up against an underrated Chicago Bears defense, the Lions have way too much firepower for the Bears to be able to make this a contest. Now, I do think this will be a close game. My guess is it'll be somewhere around 20-13, 21-14, where the Lions kind of separate themselves late. But to me, they've just got way too many weapons offensively. Stafford's a stud. He can actually air the ball out. The Lions can actually throw the ball, like I said. And the Bears, they're still a run-first team. They have way too many negative plays and still a very young and inexperienced team. So I look for the Lions to win this game pretty easily. And when it's all said and done, I do think they'll be able to separate themselves towards the end of the game. Spread is +3.5 Bears, but I think the Lions can widen that gap towards the end of the game. Give me the Lions. Moving on, we've got the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Cleveland Browns. And officially after last week, the Browns are now the only winless team in the NFL remaining. And look, I don't think this week is going to be the week to buck that trend because the Jaguars are just way too talented defensively in the secondary up front. I think that's way too big of a mismatch for the Browns to be able to handle. Now, the Browns did have some bright spots last week versus the Lions, but you saw it again. Late, the better team won. And if for some reason this game is close, I think the same thing will happen. The Jaguars will end up winning. They are the better team. Offensively, they've got a game plan. Run it, have Bortles be a game manager, and I think this is too important of a game for them right here. They're in a tight battle with the Titans, so every game matters. The Jaguars know the importance of this one. Give me the Jaguars to win outright. And as far as the spread's concerned, Browns +7.5. I think Jaguars separate themselves late. Give me the Jaguars to cover the spread on their end. Continuing on, we've got an interesting matchup, I believe, with the Ravens versus the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay. And on paper, I think the Ravens should win this game. They've still got their starting quarterback at least in Joe Flacco. And Woodhead most likely will be eligible to play, so that should be a nice little spark in their offense. But offensively, both these teams are very hobbled. The difference to me is the defense. The Ravens' defense has been great at some points during the season, and I think this will be a really good game for them to take advantage of Huntley and all the injuries the Packers have had. But with that being said, this is a matchup that really reminds me of Ravens versus the Bears, where the Bears just hung in there, and were able to get the win. And honestly, I think the Packers, after last week's victory versus the Bears, I think they have a little bit of momentum. I think they're hoping Rodgers will come back and be able to lead them to at least a wild card. And something tells me that the Packers are going to be able to win this game, keep it close, keep it ugly, and that they win this game late by right around a field goal. So I'm going to take the Packers in a little bit of an upset here. As far as the spread's concerned, Packers are at +2.5, so give me the Packers to go on the spread as well. on the spread as well. Next, we've got the Kansas City Chiefs at the New York Giants, and look, these two teams couldn't be on more opposite ends of the spectrum. Chiefs 6-3, Giants 1-8. They just gave the 49ers their first victory of the season last week, and even though the Chiefs might have the worst pass defense in the league, and we saw Giants air out the ball a little bit, I don't think that's going to matter. The Chiefs offensively, they have way too much talent, and the Giants are just one of the biggest messes in the NFL right now. I fully expect the Chiefs to be able to capitalize on this and for them to go up early. So I think the Chiefs win this game easily. I think their front four is good enough where they'll be able to force Eli into a decent amount of mistakes. So even though the Giants will get theirs, I think the Chiefs defense will create a good amount of turnovers as well and be able to make this a blowout when it's all said and done. So give me the Chiefs to win outright. The Giants are plus 10.5, so that's a pretty high spread. But like I said, I do think the Chiefs have the firepower to go up by at least 14 or 17 and hang on to that lead. So give me the Chiefs to win in terms of the spread as well. Continuing on somewhat on the other side of the spectrum, we've got the Rams at the Vikings. Both these teams sitting at 7-2, leading their divisions, and to me this should be the primetime game of the week with huge playoff indications in the NFC going forward. And breaking it down, Rams, I like their offense more than that of the Vikings. To me, I just have more faith in Goff at this point than I do in Case Keenum. I know we saw a huge performance from him last week, but I don't think he'll be able to do that on a week-to-week basis. And on the flip side, the Rams defense, they're average to above average. And the Vikings defense to me is better, but I think this game is going to come down to which offense is more reliable and can have more big plays. Now, I do think the Vikings will be able to limit those big plays that we've seen to Woods and Watkins these last couple of weeks. They're not that soft. They're bend but don't break mentality. To me, it just comes down to the Rams having, more playmakers, I believe, in the running game with Gurley, in the passing game with a healthy Woods and a healthy Sammy Watkins, and Goff just having a little bit of an edge on Keenum. So give me the Rams in somewhat of an upset to win on the road. I think it'll be right around a 3-point victory late in the game. This will be decided by a field goal if I had to guess. Could be the Greg the Leg show, but we'll see. I like the Rams to win outright. As far as the spread's concerned, Vikings at minus 2.5. And like I said, give me the Rams to win. I'll take them on the spread. Following this, we've got another very interesting NFC clash with the Redskins at the New Orleans Saints. And Redskins at 4-5, Saints at 7-2. The Skins coming off a tough loss to the Vikings while the Saints just put it on the Bills. And look, the Saints look like one of the best teams in the NFL. I've been saying it for a while. With their running game now going and that defense finding its identity, I think they'll be a force to be reckoned with. To me, they just have way too much firepower on the Redskins, and I do think the Redskins have a better offense than some of the teams the Saints have faced so far. But like I said, similar to last week, probably against what they saw in the Vikings, I think the Redskins will be able to put up 20, to 25 points, but the Saints just have more firepower, whether it's Ingram, Kamara, Michael Thomas, whoever it is. I think they'll be able to put up 30 to 35 points. Give me the Saints to win sheerly because of the offensive firepower that they have and of that improved defense. And on the spread side, the Saints are at minus 7.5, and honestly, from what I've seen with the Saints, they've been blowing out opponents left and right. I think they could do the same here. I could see a 10-point margin of victory, so give me the Saints to win this game and also to win on the spread. Next, we've got the Arizona Cardinals at the Houston Texans, and look, both these teams have packed their bags already. They're looking forward to next season. I don't believe either of these teams are going to catch their respective division opponents or be in contention for the wild card. The Cardinals, if they win, they have a chance to get to 500, but I don't think that's going to really have too much of an indication. To me, just breaking this down, I have to give the edge to the Cardinals. Now, I know Gabbert is going to get the start in this matchup, but they still have Adrian Peterson and Larry Fitzgerald. Those two guys should be heavily featured, and I see this in a similar fashion with the Cardinals versus the 49ers a couple weeks back. AP was able to have a big day, and Fitzgerald was involved. I look to a similar result, especially with how the Houston Texans defense has been getting destroyed lately. There's no other way to put it. So give me the Cardinals in this game. I like them to win outright. The Texans, even though they're at home, they're still at plus 1.5. And without Deshaun Watson, they're not scaring anyone. Will Fuller dealing with an injury. Their defense, too many injuries on that end as well. So Cardinals to win, and then Cardinals to cover by at least 3 points in my opinion. Continuing on, we have got the Tampa Bay Bucks at the Miami Dolphins. And again, both these teams with losing records, the Bucks at 3-6, the Dolphins at 4-5. But here, Winston will not be playing again for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I've been saying it now, this team is not the same team offensively or defensively without Winston. I know Mike Evans will be back, but to me, that just doesn't make that huge of an impact when you have someone like Fitzpatrick that has to get him the ball. Now, I know the Dolphins are, no fairy tale either with Jay Cutler at the helm of that offense, but I have more faith in Cutler than Fitzpatrick. At least he'll air it out and he'll take a lot of risks. And even though some of that might lead to some ugly interceptions, I like him to be able to have a somewhat of a surprising performance here and be able to go for around 200, 250 yards and 2 touchdowns, something like that, to lead the Dolphins to a win here. They've got more weapons offensively and defensively. They can step up and put a lockdown on this Bucs team without Winston. Give me the Miami Dolphins to win this game outright. At home, they're at -2.5. I think this will be a game that gets out of hand late, so the Dolphins, to me, should cover the spread as well. Next, we've got Bills at Chargers, and this should be an interesting storyline here with Tyrod Taylor being benched in favor of the rookie in Peterman, and I think this should spell trouble for the Bills. I think they're in a situation where their record isn't that great of an indication of how good of a football team they really are, because they're at 5-4, they're above 500, but to me, they're not actually that good. And kind of with the Chargers, they're on the other side of it, 3-6. They're a better football team than that. They're at home. Their defense should be able to put enough pressure on the new quarterback who hasn't faced real NFL action in the regular season. So I think that's what this game comes down to. Give me the LA Chargers to win this game. Offensively, they've got just as much weapons, if not more, than the Bills. Melvin Gordon, Keenan Allen, Phillip Rivers, that's enough to get you over the Bills, who defensively have just been looking awful lately. And again, offensively, I don't think they'll be able to do enough. If they just turn it over to LaShawn McCoy, the Chargers should be able to focus in on that and make this game a long one for the Bills. Give me the Chargers to win outright. The spread is at -4.5. I think the Chargers should be able to cover that with the rookie quarterback factor going for the Bills. Next, we've got an AFC clash of two 3-6 teams, with the Bengals going up against the Broncos in Denver. And look, both these teams have been disappointing all year, but I do think the Bengals have been a little bit more consistent these last couple of weeks, and they've been in more competitive games than the Broncos have. While this game is in Denver, I do think the Bengals offense, with Andy Dalton at the quarterback position leading the way, does have an edge over Brock Osweiler in Denver. The Denver defense does have more playmakers, but again, similar to Seattle defense, it just has not been delivering in terms of what we expected this year. And I think this game is going to come down to who can make more plays offensively. And to me, that's the Bengals. I barely give them the edge here. I think right now they're just in a better flow in the running game, getting Mixon more involved, AJ Green, and Andy Dalton on the same page. Brendan LaFell also stepping up a little bit, so I give the edge to the Bengals. I look for them to win outright. As far as the spread's concerned, Broncos -2.5, so give me the Bengals on that front. Give me the Bengals on that front. Next, we've got the New England Patriots at the Oakland Raiders. And even though this game is in Oakland, I think you have to go with the Patriots. Offensively, you give them the edge with Brady and that consistent offense. They've still got Gronk, they've still got Cooks, and all those different running backs are stepping up for them. Then, on top of that, defensively, still not sold on the Raiders. They can be exploited,
and the Patriots are just playing better and better, more disciplined as the season is going on. So give me the Patriots to win this game outright. As far as the spread is concerned, Raiders are at plus 6.5, and recently the Patriots have been putting up points in bunches. I think when it comes down to this victory, it's going to be by at least a touchdown. So again, give me the Patriots on the spread. Getting to Sunday Night Football, we've got the Philadelphia Eagles at the Dallas Cowboys. And very important game for both these teams. The Eagles, if they can get this victory, pretty much lock down the division, whereas the Cowboys need every single win they can get if they want any chance of making the playoffs. Now, to me, this game, unfortunately, is going to come down to players that are not active in this game for the Cowboys, starting with Sean Lee. And defensively, that's a huge missing piece for them. That team is just not the same with him off the field. And then, obviously, Zeke won't be there. Last week, that running game just did not look as competent without him, even though that offensive line, is just so dominant. But again, they might be without Smith in that O-line. We will see. But with those three pieces potentially missing, I got to give the edge to the Eagles, who have been just unstoppable as of late. Coming off the bye week, they should have had enough time to prepare for the Cowboys. So give me the Eagles to win outright. And then as far as the spread's concerned, plus 3.5 for the Cowboys. I think that's a pretty low spread. In the scenario where the Eagles win, I think they will be able to win by more. So give me the Eagles on the spread as well. Finally, Monday Night Football, we've got Falcons at the Seattle Seahawks. And look, both these teams are in desperate need of a win. Falcons at 5-4, Seahawks at 6-3. If they want to contend for the wild card or again a division spot. But to me, I think the Seahawks just have had too many injuries on defense. Sherman last week, looking like Chancellor might or might not play. So to me, that Seattle defense has taken way too many hits. Looked like the Falcons finally making progression in their offense, getting back a little bit more into the groove of things. Freeman probably won't play. It's going to be Tavon Coleman, but I don't think that'll be too much of a step in terms of downgrading. So Falcons offense, I think, can still be dominant here. Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Tavon Coleman in that running game. And then defensively, I think the Falcons have a little bit of an edge, more healthy right now than the Seahawks. So I give the edge to the Atlanta Falcons here. I have them winning outright. As far as the spread's concerned, Seattle at minus 3.5. Like I said, I like the Falcons. Give me them on the spread. So that wraps up my pick'em games along with the spreads, but as far as locks of the week go, let's start off with Thursday night. I like the Steelers at home versus the Titans. Like I said, I think this is going to be a welcome back party for AB, for Big Ben, for that entire offense. I like the Steelers to win at home. Next, Jaguars at Browns, and unfortunately, the Browns are just the winless team of the NFL right now, 0-9, and I think that continues. Just very bad matchup, offense versus defense here, and that being in the favor of the Jaguars big time. Next, afterwards, Chiefs, Giants. Again, the Giants are just one of the biggest messes in the NFL right now, and the Chiefs, their schedule keeps getting better and better heading into the playoffs. I think this is where they start building a nice little streak. Their offense, tons of talent, and I think they'll be able to take advantage of the Giants on multiple levels. And then finally, I like the New England Patriots at the Oakland Raiders. To me, the Patriots are just playing on a whole nother level right now in the AFC. There's no one really that can contend with them in that conference. I like them even though they might be on the road behind Brady, behind that improved defense. Give me the Patriots to win on the road versus the Raiders. So with that, pretty much a wrap in terms of my picks, my locks of the week. Let me know, what did you guys think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments section. And as always, if you enjoyed, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in future videos.